So these the Torah blessings in their original form gave thanks to God for choosing us among all people, which I don't know, it seems a little bit arrogant to say that he chose us above everybody else. And also it's not very scientific. So we interpret this a slightly different way here at Va-Dor. We are the ones. We are the ones who did the choosing. Throughout all the persecution, all the years, we chose to keep a dream alive, dream of a better world of compassion and justice and fairness. We did the choosing. We still choose every day. Anytime we get demoralized and are ready to give up and think it's hopeless, we choose to abandon the courage and the indomitable spirit of the Jewish people. Anytime we get angry and feel the need to strike back and retaliate because somebody treated us poorly, instead of treating us the way they should treat us, then we're not choosing Judaism. But every time we see the good in people and are willing to help them see it also, we choose to be a righteous people. We're going to read now from the book of KORACH. וידבר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל העדה לאמור, העלו מסביב למשכן קורח, דתן ואבירם, ויקם משה וילך אל דתן ואבירם, וילכו אחריו, זקני ישראל. There were some troublemakers here, some no goodniks, Korach and Dotan, and Moses saying, don't hang out with these people. These guys are bad news, going to get you into a lot of trouble. Tuhu na me'alo ale ha'anashim ha'chasha'im ha'ele. In Hebrew, the word for evil is Russia. Russia, or in modern Hebrew it's Rasha, but in Yiddish it's Russia, or plural is Rashaim. So he's saying, don't hang out with Rashaim. Don't get away from their tents and their dwelling places. Don't have anything to do with them. Va'al dit'an b'chol asher lehem pen tisafu b'chol chet dinam. If you don't distance yourself, you will be caught up in their sin. ויעלו מעל מסביב קורח, ואביו מסביב תוראו, ואבירם יצאו ניצבים, פתח אוהל ידם, ונסיכם, ונחם, וטפחם. Unfortunately, their wives and their children and some of their deluded, brainwashed followers were incapable of distancing themselves, no matter what they did. Even if KORACH shot someone on Fifth Avenue, it really wouldn't matter. These people were just going to stick with them until the very end. ותאכל בהם ונשכם ונכם ותפכם ויאמר משה בזאת תדעון כי אדוני שמחני לעשות את כל העשים האלה כי לא מלבי עם כמות חטא בכל האדם ויותן אלה ופקדיהם כל האדם. And this, by this you will know if God himself sent me or if I'm just a person speaking off the top of my head without any divine authority. לא אדוני שלחני ואם בריאות יברא אדוני יפצתה האדמה את פיה תבלע אותם ואת כל אשר להם וירדו חינם שאולה וידעתם כי נצו האנשים האלה את אדוני. If they die a natural death, these people around KORACH, then you'll know nobody sent me. But if a new way of dying comes up and they die a very unnatural way, then you'll know that something quite remarkable is going on here. את כל הדברים האלה, ותבקע האדמה תחתכם, ותפתח הארץ את פיה, ותבלע אותם ואת בתיהם, ואת כל האדם אשר לקורח, ואת כל הרכיש הירדו הם בכל אשר להם חיים סעולה. And just as Moses finished speaking, the earth opened up, and it swallowed up them, their tents, their children, their wives, and everybody around them. וכל ישראל אשר סביבה נעשו לגאלם כי אמרו פן תבעלו הארץ והאש יצאו מאת אדוני תאכל את חרמשים. And they said, let's get the heck out of here. This is dangerous. We don't want to be anywhere near here. And they all ran for their lives. The blessing after the Torah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu tuchat emet v'chai olam nata b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. Well, my friends, you can see from this passage why the Bible is a bestseller. You can see why it's ubiquitous. It's all over the place. It's got a lot of great stuff in it. It's got sex, it's got violence, it's got drama, and it's got supernatural doings. And that's one reason why it's very popular. And you might wonder, why would a rabbi file an action against the school board to take the Bible out of the schools? Why would a rabbi do that if the Bible is so popular? Well, my friends, let me explain. I like this story. It's good. It's really good. And it teaches us something very important, which I'll get to in a minute. However, if you take these biblical stories and you impart them to children without an explanation that this represents the infancy of our moral development, the infancy of our scientific knowledge, the very beginning of our march out of abysmal ignorance into the light of day, if you don't explain that to them and they think this is divinely written and inerrant, it's a very dangerous book. And if you take adults who have an infantile mind when it comes to religion, who are on a juvenile stage of development when it comes to the Bible, where they believe their daddy in the sky wrote it and they have to obey obediently or they're going to be punished like little kids, this book is dangerous. Well, you can say, well, why would you say that, Rabbi? Where's your evidence? Evidence? Crusades? Spanish Inquisition? Pogroms? The Holocaust? The anti-Semitism that pervades the world right now because of offshoots of this Bible by people who say, no, you're not chosen, we're chosen. And our daddy in the sky likes us better than you. He doesn't like you anymore. You guys rebelled. It's dangerous stuff. But in the right hands, understood rationally, it can teach us so much. One thing that the Bible has to say is reflected in the words and the vision of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. She only endorsed two candidates in her life. She had no use for politicians. Governor Lawton Chiles, who made the Everglades a national park and monument. I'm very happy to say she also endorsed me when I ran for state representative, which had a lot to do with me making it. And she was 100 years old at the time. And I had a T-shirt with my picture on it. And I came over to her house, and she's very old and frail. And I gave her the T-shirt, and I said, it's such an honor to be here. I can't believe I'm standing next to you. And I want you to have this T-shirt. She said, well, it looks a little big on me. She was very frail, very small. I said, well, it's good. It's nice and loose. You can sleep in it. She says, you mean I get to sleep with you? So it would be my honor. Yes. Well, this is what she did. This is what she did that was so remarkable. She took a natural phenomenon that most people just called a swamp, something that they thought, we need to pave this over to put something useful here, like some houses. She said, no, it's not a swamp. It's an incredible natural wonder. One of the wonders of the world, a place of beauty and magnificence and creative power. She could look at that with more spirituality and more awe than any of the so-called religious people around her, even though she didn't believe in any supernatural being. She didn't believe in the supernatural, but she believed that the natural was super. And what she showed us is that we can look around this world and see things that we often take for granted, but see it with new eyes and realize how wondrous it really is. Many people can't do that. Many people look at their lives and they're dissatisfied. The key to happiness is not to figure what can we acquire and to be happy with trying to acquire, but to realize what we have is so wonderful and to be satisfied with our lot, as they say in the book of Proverbs. Who is happy? Who is rich? The one who rejoices in his lot and is satisfied with what he has. KORACH was not satisfied with what he had. KORACH, the one who started this insurrection, KORACH was someone who was part of the assistant priests. He was a very high, elevated status. This guy had it all. He was part of the Jewish people. They believed themselves to be chosen, and he was one of the chosen of the chosen. It wasn't good enough because he just thought, wait a minute, I want more. I want more power. I want to usurp Moses. I want his power. And so he said to Moses, hey, why do you have all this power? Why are you doing all these things? Why don't you let other people have power? Well, he did. He tried to share his power, and a few passages back, he said, I wish everybody would be a prophet. But KORACH wanted to achieve power for the wrong reason. Not to help others, but to help himself. Moses was selfless. He wanted to have power so that he could bring freedom and justice to people. KORACH wanted it for himself. There's a very interesting thing about the name KORACH. Anybody here speak a little Yiddish? You know where you're koyach? Thank you. Strength. Koyach. In Hebrew, it's koach, strength. Koach sounds like KORACH. KORACH wanted strength, but he wanted strength, plus he had an R. Not koach, but KORACH. What does the R stand for? Ra'ah, which is evil. He wanted to use his strength for evil. Rasha, wickedness. Ra'ev means hunger. He had a hunger for power. Ratzon means he had the desire for power. And his desire for power was rekam, which means empty. There's nothing wrong with power if it's used to help others. My friends, each of us has power over others. A smile can bring a smile to them. An uplifting word can help them out. A disparaging word can hurt them. Our silence is the worst of all. People say bad things about our friends or associates or members of an organization, and we're silent. That hurts. Yes, Martin Luther King said in the end, we don't remember the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. But if we take that R and we use it for a different reason, like Rahmanas, right? Compassion, or Rosh, we use our intelligence to guide our use of power, then we have something very special. So my friends, what is this passage trying to tell us? The people around KORACH, they were dragged down into the abyss. It says they were dragged down alive. What that means is that some of us are actually alive, but we're still being dragged down into the abyss. Even though physically we're living, spiritually we're dying, because we're surrounding ourselves with people who are dragging us down. When we can surround ourselves with people who are uplifting and we can lift up other people, we're lifted up. When we are always trying to drag down, then we're brought down into the abyss. And it could be politically, it could be in our family, it could be our religion. If we don't separate ourselves from evil, it's not enough just to say, well, I didn't do it. It wasn't me. No, those people with KORACH, they didn't do anything either. They were just hanging out with him. They were close to him. They were supporting him. My friends, we need to separate ourselves out from evil and take a stand. Otherwise, we will be dragged down. That's what this congregation does when it comes to efforts to deny women their rights, to tell black people that you can't teach your history the right way because it makes us a little uncomfortable. What happened here? Or the genocide against Native Americans, that makes us uncomfortable. We don't want to hear about that. Or you're trans and you want to wear what you want to wear at a parade, we're uncomfortable with that. We say we fight back. We say that we are not going to be associated in the state of Florida with those types of policies without us fighting back. And if we don't do that, then we are dragged down with them. As Elie Wiesel said, silence always helps the oppressor, never the oppressed. Let us stand up. Let us give thanks for our heritage. Let us stand with Moses and let us rebel against KORACH and modern day KORACHs in the world today. Shabbat Shalom.